This is the guy who's number one on the Smitty Big Board, Matthew Golden, out of, get him up there, hook 'em horns. And what everybody's been talking about since the Combine, runs a 4.29 at the Combine. Matthew Golden is skyrocketing up in a lot of people's minds. I'll start off with one point that a receiver coach gave me. He said, when I watched Matthew Golden's tape, I said, good player, polished, I like him. He's not a perfect guy. I don't know if he's a first rounder. Then I went and watched a lot more guys, and I went, yuck. I went back and watched Matthew Golden and went, man, compared to the rest of the group, this guy's really good. And the reason I brought this up, Steve, is I think you and I talked, the other day about this, what the process is. You go through a guy once, then you go through him a second time, you watch his film for a third time, and sometimes your evaluation changes and grows as you go through.
It grows or shrinks.
Yeah, exactly. What you like about the guy, what you don't like, those things get magnified, and the comparison against the rest of the group. Mm-hmm. He's probably, in this receiver coach's mind, the guy who's grown the most from that time period in that comparison to the rest of the group. He's capitalized on it probably better than anybody else, and he could be the first receiver taken in this draft.
I could agree with everything you said in that assessment, especially when you talk about looking at the film over. Matthew Golden and Isaiah Bond, both of these players, I fell under the trap of the way their offense and the system is run. You sometimes can get fooled in knowing if this is a really good player or is the system rigged so well that you don't really know what you get until you get him, and then you realize he was a system guy. Now, I have to say, I was biased with Golden and Bond, and I was like, I just think it's those guys are just a system guy.
And then what'd you do?
I went back and watched the film.
Yeah.
And I said, nah, they're not. They actually have been coached really well. Yes, they need to be in their spots and they need to do certain things, but you can always put a guy in a spot, but you can't make the guy beat the player. You can't make the guy create his own access. Mm-hmm. And definitely, you can't make the guy catch it cleanly. I would say the biggest issue with Texas when watching their receivers is I saw a lot of times the quarterback was off target, sometimes late.
Quinn Ewers.
And he resisted the opportunity to throw the ball deep when guys were open later down the field. He's more of a guy who likes to anticipate and throw it a little bit earlier because the lack of the consistent arm strength. And so when your arm isn't as strong, you sometimes anticipate the throw. So you got to throw the go route within the first 25 to 27 yards, where some of the stronger guys, man, they wait until you're about 30, 40 yards down the field because they want to show you how strong their arm is and throw the moon ball and the lollipop and the on the dime and the turkey hole. And then the last point before we get to the film that I noticed, Isaiah Bond was the guy earlier in the season. I mean, he was the guy. The target discrepancy was significantly different. And I don't know if this is just alleged. I don't know if it was NIL. And so some of the people I talked to near the end of the year, they started to realize Isaiah Bond was a good player. Matthew Golden was the playmaker.
I would say complete receiver.
The complete receiver. They started to realize in Georgia, 12 targets. Arizona State, 10 targets. When they needed the big play, when they needed a play, Matthew Golden was the guy. Mm-hmm. When they needed some stuff done, Isaiah Bond was the guy. And that's the one discrepancy that I noticed and really stood out to me statistically. And when I say statistically, because I'm like, man, what's shifted? And then I started looking through the stats and I go, oh, because you can't, I like to look at stats after watching the film.
Yeah, that's good.
Because I'll see something, it's like TSA, see something, say something. So I'm seeing something, saying something. And, I got a podcast that people want to hear what I got to say. I think sometimes.
I would say this, and we'll have a video on Isaiah Bond on the site too, where we're going to do an entire profile, where we have an entire profile of him. I was told by a quarterback coach who looks at a lot of receivers for his team, and they need a receiver, and I go to him almost every year, and he's like, they're not even the same stratosphere as wide receivers. Matthew Golden is a complete receiver that can play all three spots, hit you on all three levels. I like this part. Tell me if you like this before we get into the film, Steve. He's smooth speed, smooth mover, effortless, super efficient with his movement skills, super easy. There's that part of it. He said he's not super twitchy, like put his foot in the ground and take off the other direction, but super smooth in kind of all of his movements and how he can attack you throughout a route. That's what I got from one of these guys. We're going to get into the film and show us everything you see from a guy who could be the first receiver off the board. In this play, he said, and he's not alone. I've spoken to multiple people that I don't want to say they don't believe the 4.29. They just don't see him play at that speed. And this play was brought up to me specifically about this. If this is Isaiah Bond, he said, he's taking this to the house. It's not even close.
Wow. Okay.
But I wanted your take on the play as we go through it here. Should he be gone?
He should, but
okay. You can stop talking right there. You said he should.
Here's why he.
The ball's behind him to start off with.
Yes, it is. Ball's behind him. He doesn't catch it in stride. He has to slow down. Boom. Look. So then he has to get away from that guy. But what he does do, he doesn't pay attention and see the guys behind him.
You would have taken this to the house, Steve. Let's just say it.
Well, I don't play anymore, so I can't really say. So
I'll say it.
I don't do in hypotheticals anymore. So here's what happens. If he takes it and goes up the field, but he has this defender right here, so he can't. Then he can see out his peripheral, this defender. So he sees out his peripheral on the left, that defender. Then he has this defender, right? Mm-hmm. So he should go this way, but he continues to go that way, which allows that guy to go that way. This guy's coming, is attacking and approaching, and this guy's going. So let's see.
Okay.
See? And then you got that guy over. So you see how he's looking?
Totally understand what you're saying.
See how he's looking he's looking over here? He's looking over here, he's looking over there. And that's when you just that's just part of the game.
The reason I brought it up, Steve, is he's not the only guy that's brought it up and say when you see him play, he doesn't play like it's a 4.29. I'm not saying he can't move.
No, I get.
There's a difference between play speed and running a 40. And I'm not knocking him. He can still move.
There is a big difference, but these teams they love the 40s. They want to hang their hats on the 40s.
That's the point we're making. And that's the other part I wanted to get into. I know you got a bunch of plays, but there's one other aspect I wanted to bring up. And with that, and what I saw you do, that's what got my mind going here. Speaking to somebody else, it was the speed is obviously it's there. You saw it in the 40. Mm-hmm. Can you, at the next level, be coached, get the nuances of the position even further, have the ability to maybe enhance that speed or use it to a better to your advantage in the league? Like, hey, 2 years into the league, does he take that to the house if he's coached? Do you get what I'm saying? That's what's been brought up to me, is that the speed is there. With better coaching, he can find ways to use it to even more of his advantage.
Better coaching, better throwing. But the coaching isn't on the receiver coach. The coaching has to do with his training with stance, lateral movement, vertical movement. How does he come out of his stance? Is he running side to side? How much? And what that has to do with is wasted movement.
Yeah.
If a guy has a lot of wasted movement, that is going to slow you down, especially when you're running, when you don't have to worry about the underwear Olympics, right? In underwear Olympics, there's no press coverage. There's
it's running out at you.
Yeah, nobody's
avoid in the 40.
Right? Yeah. Unless you're Chris Jones. Shout out to my dog.
Oh man, I love Stone Cold.
Oh man, Stone Cold is hilarious.
The combine is a family-friendly event.
Yes. Yeah. And so that wasted movement, you can work on and start to get that out of your giddy up, out of your hitch. And by doing that, but what it does do is it shows what these guys possibly and where they can go.
Yeah, I think it makes it more appealing.
And what we've seen, just because you run a fast time doesn't mean that you're going to play fast. But also, if you run a slow time, doesn't mean you're going to play slow. True. It really depends on how you play this this prospect, what position, and where and what do you want to utilize him, and how do you visualize this player and this prospect in your offense? Is he a F? Is he a Z? Z is on the ball. F is moved around a lot. Is it Z where he's moved around a lot and he's off the ball? F and Z are generally off the ball next to the tight end, so that it gives them the ability to line up on multiple sides of the field in multiple positions. So that's the unique part of running a 40 is it gives you an understanding of body type and what the potential is, how a guy and what a guy does. It's a ton of factors. Really love this play. Change up. This is a show the change up of his tempo. You talking about when you look at a player's savviness, understanding, and then the patience. Good adjustment to a ball thrown incorrectly. Ball should be thrown to the outside. Has a little corner. Goes outside. Bing. Inside, gets both feet down. Catches the football. Boom, boom.
Yeah, that's some athleticism. I don't want to say it too early into this, but I have it in my notes here from a pro personnel guy, and I'll just curse. Legit ball skills.
Ooh.
Is that accurate?
Great eye-hand coordination, yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that.
I said it was a direct quote, so I
gotcha. I like it.
Yeah.
You good? You good, James? Great contact balance, showing his athleticism. Thing that comes up to me is chain mover. Look at that.
Yeah.
Bing, bing. Now I would say the question is Isaiah Bond, would he have made that many guys miss? I think you have two different types of players. Bing. Look at that. Wow. Oh, whoa. Gotta go back over there. So you got a guy. Goes balls in the inside. This is kind of like the Minnesota Miracle.
Yeah.
And I hate it because it was my Utah guy, Marcus Williams. But I'm pretty sure he closed his eyes. Look. Yep, he sure did. He closed his eyes. He shot his shot with nothing in the chamber. No. All right. This really shows his ability. He comes off the line of scrimmage. He sets up the corner. Boop, boop. That's a face mask, too.
Yeah.
Gives a little shifty. I just like, he gives an indicator step to make the corner believe and threaten that I can go. Look at that. That's a flag on the play. Referee did it right when I said it. Man, I love it when I can act a fool at the same time.
I like on that play too, Steve, because I'm looking at my notes. Like there's some people that really like his temperament, the way he plays.
Yep.
A little bit of an edge to it. Like, yeah.
That's good. I mean, you could see it on there. His aggressiveness to attack and create free access to fight through the holding. Does a really good job. Attacking the corner. I like this. Boy, I like this route right here. You know why I like this route, James?
Tell me.
This is a deep end with a motion outside. So a motion outside, he had that Cadillac turn right there. I just want to see all the way back.
Yep.
And you got the house speaker in the trunk. Boom, 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 boom.
Describing my car right now to a T.
Boom, boom. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So let me show you. Motion, go, scoop, scoop, catch it. Get funky with that thing. I call it Cadillac turn. That's what I like. Goes. Look at the corner.
Yeah. Well, has he?
Look at him. Attacks. Like it, man. This is how you see the difference. Let me show you the difference. Ball on time. Watch how he catches it and accelerates. See the difference?
Mm-hmm. I see this, Steve, also from being inside and motioning out. Like, I keep being told, versatile enough to kind of put them all over if you have to.
Mm-hmm. He has the ability to understand multiple positions, lining up, and how to manipulate the route based on the defense.
I'm going to say something crazy, Steve.
Uh-oh.
No, not crazy. Is he better coming out than the two guys that came out of Texas last year, and Worthy and A.D. Mitchell?
That's a great question.
This episode of 89 is brought to you by Row. Listen up, people. It's spring, right? Everything is in bloom. So let's talk a little birds and bees, because everybody's a little frisky in the spring. And Row Sparks, well, they have you covered. If you're looking for a little boost, a little more fun for you and your partner, well, Row has it taken care of. Now, I'm no doctor, but you put it under your tongue, it dissolves, it lasts for up to 36 hours, so you can go back to back to back to back if you'd like. Now, Row connects you with a medical provider 100% online, so there's no awkward face-to-face interaction. And, if you're approved, shipped directly to your door. So if prescribed, new sexual health patients will get $15 off Sparks on a reoccurring plan. So connect with the provider at row.co/89 to find out if a prescription for Row Sparks is for you. Be ready to play with Row Sparks. Is he better coming out than the two guys that came out of Texas last year, and Worthy and A.D. Mitchell? I feel like he can do more. I mean, Worthy's got
here's he's used differently.
Okay.
So it's unfair to compare when he's used differently. The offense, how it is, the tight end last year, the running back with Brooks last year earlier on. It's unfair to throw him in there because, each year, each team has a different Achilles heel. It's fair to say, was Texas defense better last year or this year? Was their offensive line better last year or this year? So was the quarterback play a little bit more consistent, or did it become, so that's why I think it's unfair.
Two guys that came out last year from Texas. Now we got two guys again, right, playing at the same time. So is the evaluation process harder, easier? You talked earlier how, and it was interesting you mentioned NIL, like you got Isaiah Bond early, and then it kind of shifts more into Matthew Golden. Like when you're watching the film and you got two guys that a defense has to worry about that are both NFL caliber wide receivers, what does that change in what you're looking at, or maybe what you have to look at?
Well, one of the things you look at is the most obvious thing is the number one corner. Where is he lining up?
Yeah.
Right? Because the defense with college and even in the pros, well, the number one corner will and shall line up on the more highly targeted person on that down and distance in that circumstance. And so when I watch film, sometimes I do watch, well, did this kid ball against New Mexico State and then get shut down by Colorado? Did this kid ball against Utah, but, get shut down against Utah State? You have to look at all of those things.
Yeah.
And against Clemson, who Clemson wasn't a really good team. They were an okay team. Now, I believe Clemson will be better this year because they had a lot of young players. So balling against Clemson last year on only 5 catches, but being the guy against Georgia with 12 catches, that speaks to me. Mm-hmm. That tells me something. And I don't like to pin the receivers against each other because you also don't know what biases does the coordinator have against the player in certain down and distance.
Ooh.
Right? It's a 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 8, and it's myself, take you back yonder when I played, and Ted Ginn Jr.
Go Bucks. Yeah.
If it's 3rd and 10 and we have a curl, quarterback should go to Ted. I struggle with curl routes in how I finish and attack the football.
We've talked about that. Yeah.
That's the example I have with what's the bias or what is the Achilles heel for that individual on that play that may be a route that isn't that great.
Steve, that makes total sense. But because I think about this with him too, getting to the next level in Matthew Golden, that I keep looking at these notes and it's people are telling me quarterback friendly. Like, to me, does that allow him more opportunities for what you're saying? Right?
Yeah, that does.
Okay.
Less coaching. Like, you don't have to teach. Trying to teach a guy how to settle down in the zone, happy feet, or not settling down and hey, we need you on the far hash, we need +2. That's really big in certain offenses is assignment and alignment, right? Especially for a young guy. You have to be able to line up and line up exactly where they want you.
You have that.
Yeah.
You're favored in that bias, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah,
Yep.
You will. All right, let's go to this last play. Another underthrown ball. Look at this. Look at that adjustment. RPO. Oh, look at it.
That adjustment.
Look at the corner. Has no idea what he's doing. Look at the corner. Safety's looking at it. What is you looking at? Look. Oh, the ball's in the air.
Man.
Number 12 can't stop. He can't stop. That boy's stuck. Look at him. Yeah, he don't know what to do. Look at him. He's shocked. Look, he's, yeah. Who you pointing to? Yeah, I got you, coach.
Yeah. He's pointing to the chain gang. Guys, move it down here.
Matthew Golden, for me, most complete wide receiver, I think.
Yeah.
Can play inside, can play outside. His speed is his speed. I love what he does. Contact balance is excellent. His ability to line up all the different positions, attacks the football, adjusts well to the football. When it's overthrown, when it's underthrown, he, doesn't run as fast as his 40 time. But here's the thing. They got the time, so doesn't matter.
Time's there.
The time is there.
Yep. My final thought, the take is this: could be a really good high volume number 2 wide receiver that you can move around, that you can put in different spots. That you mentioned the IQ. He's a film junkie, which teams allows him to play.
He watches film on his own.
He's watching film on his own, Steve.
Oh, say it ain't so, bro. Say it ain't so. I got a question. So let's play a little devil's advocate. You ready? Okay.
I don't know if I am, but I am ready.
So if he's a number 2, which teams do you think this type of player can benefit? I just thought of one right now, just like that. Drop in your comment section. Which team do you think Matthew Golden would be an excellent young number 2 that eventually maybe take over as a number 1? What does James Palmer say?
I kind of like Houston. Opposite of Nico. I'm not saying he takes over wide. That'd be for years to come.
Yeah. I got one that'll cause some trouble.
Pittsburgh?
Yes.
That was my other one I was thinking.
Pittsburgh.
He'd be opposite DK.
Yes.
Because you can't play both guys.
DK is deep threat. Let him run an intermediate. Let him use that speed.
I thought that was my second one, honestly, was Pittsburgh, and I know they're looking at receivers.
Yes, they are. They are looking for a receiver. Look, Pittsburgh is looking for a receiver as a number 2, like the Atlanta Falcons looking for a number 2 quarterback.
So the last thing I got for you is, yes, they are. If teams that met with him said, if there's, they're always, he likes to be coach hard, so he asked a lot, from what I'm told, of what can I do better in this time period before the draft? What parts of my game could I work on? And it was, from a couple teams, it was technique in the run game, technique in blocking in the run game. And I'm curious, Steve, if teams are saying that to him, that makes me think they'd like to see him inside.
No, that's not what they're saying. They want to say that you don't telegraph what kind of plays we're running. So it doesn't have to do with anything of where
in terms
he's
of
playing.
alignment.
It has to do with, is he a willing blocker, and can we depend on him for every down wide receiver?
Gotcha.
So it's not where he lines up.
I was reading the importance of being inside and making sure you can lock up.
I'm looking at, hey, we think you could be our number 2, but are you a willing blocker? And I know some people have said in the comments, talked about Royals down at Utah State. All you need to talk about is blocking. Look, blocking, I get it, and I love to talk about it during the season. But right now is, can you run routes, man? But I want to hear, like, don't make me blocking right now in the off season. Talk about these prospects is like making a bologna sandwich and saying that's steak. No, no. It ain't.
Well, I think it kind of shows you a little something, Steve, that's what the teams are pointing out. If that's where they're going, like, you know what I mean, in terms of something I'd like
they're
you to
just
improve
looking
on.
at. Well, look, you could be a willing blocker, but if you can't catch,
that's my point. It looks like they seem to like a lot of the other things that he brings to the table. So it's, hey, let's look at a couple of these things. And then the last part was really like you need. A lot of people talk about the receiver room almost like a basketball team. Like, you can't have all ones. You got to have glue guys. You got to have guys that holds the group together, holds the offense together. He's been described as kind of that glue guy, like a hold your offense together type of guy. Okay. Which also, like, if you're willing to play that role as a high volume too, I don't think anybody's going to turn that down.
That's called a tone setter right there. That's what you want in a young guy. Can set a tone. That's very mature. Like that.
I like him.
I do too. That's why he's my number 1. It was well documented that Revis, when he went into the Hall of Fame, I was part of his hit list or a notch on his belt that I only had. He limited me like 2 catches, 5 yards.
Yeah, but you're on the belt. You're on the list.
I take offense to that because it was 7 yards, sucker. Don't be shortchanging me.